So we got this S2000 up next. And if you're familiar with Hondas, then you know that's not the stock engine that comes in this vehicle. It's actually a K20z3, so out of an 8th gen Civic Si. Let's hop right into this one. So as I said, let's jump right into it. K20z3 inside of an S2K, and this one is on Ktuner. So get a lot of questions asked. Do we tune Ktuner? Yes, of course we do, even on these older cars. So the newer Civics, Accords, Type Rs, we do as well with Ktuner. The Ktuner, trying to pick it up, but it will not pick it up. But the Ktuner's inside the ECU, as I'm going to tell, as I tell my customers, very hit or miss. Very glitchy, to say the least. You know, I understand why people are running Ktuner over K-Pro, and the majority comes down to price, I would assume. But yeah, so, you know, yes, I can tune Ktuner, and doesn't matter the vehicle, doesn't matter the year, make, and model. But since Ktuner is, as I said, more glitchy, it can take more time. You know, there's times where you just will fight with the computer to connect. You'll fight with it to, you have to basically recover the ECU at times. It's not fun. It's a pain. So, yes, Ktuner tunes are a little bit more money on these older chassis. And one thing that I already took off is the air filter. This back in the day, so when I say back in the day, you know, I got into this industry around 2000-ish. Everybody and their mother knew not to run one of these filters, especially on a boosted car. You see that little chrome center section piece that is also in here? Notorious. Those are notorious for coming undone, sucking right into the turbo, and destroying your turbo. So I got this undone. I'm going to hop into the tune and join me in the car. So as I'm sitting in the car with Ktuner open, I wanted to show you exactly what I was talking about. And I know other people have this issue too, because I get emails at least twice a week where guys are having issues connecting to their car. On the newer Civics, it will keep asking you to register. Down here, it will connect, disconnect, register, whatever. You know, it's, there's no rhyme or reason. I wish I had a better answer. I honestly do. I will say on the older cars, like the one that I'm in, you know, let's say the RSX, it just seems like the software is less stable. I guess that's the easiest way to put it. The newer cars, no issues. Like, you know, the 10 gen, besides the connecting and the disconnecting stuff, which is whatever. The 10 gen Civics, Type Rs, the Accords, you know, no problem whatsoever in that sense. But I don't know, like, it's the computers that have the Ktuner board built into them, that's where it seems like a lot of these problems are occurring. Like I said, I wish I had a rhyme or a reason. I don't. I wish I can help you guys out more, but I can't. So I deal with the same stuff that you guys are dealing with as well. So I'm going to get into this, keep you guys updated. I have a long and busy day, so I don't know how much I'm going to be able to cover on this, but I will cover some key points and stuff like that. So I will be back. So started to creep into boost a little bit. Saw a little bit of smoke underneath the hood. And the return line was leaking badly. I didn't get a video of me talking about it, but I did document it for the customer. I'll insert it right here. So got that leak fixed. Gonna keep an eye on it. Gonna get into it now. What you're gonna ultimately see is I'm going to be creeping into boost. Make sure everything is good in the tune. And then, since this one has an electronic boost solenoid, well, I'm gonna explain to you a little bit more inside of the car what I'm doing to set up boost by gear. So you're going to see some pulls. I plan on getting some. They're going to be kind of like half pulls. And then ultimately, we're going to up the boost and see if we can get closer to his power goals. So let's go. So as I'm doing a flash right now, what you're seeing is you're not seeing full out pulls. I know it might be hard to tell with just a video, but I'm increasing the duty cycle of the actual boost controller to figure out what percentage is going to yield a certain PSI. So then I build a little bit of a chart, you know, with let's say 40% equals such and such amount of boost. 50% duty equals such and such amount of boost, and that's how you basically do boost by gear. So right now everything is working fairly good, but as I will mention, as I'm increasing the power, I don't know if the clutch is liking it too much. The clutch pedal's getting super high. I'm starting to get little faint whiffs of clutch as well. So I'm not sure what clutch he has in the car. We will ask him, but right now that's pretty much where we're at. Creeping up to the power that he wants. He wants right around 400, I believe. So I know we're not there just yet. The other thing too I will mention, give me 1 second. So as I upped the duty cycle to make more boost, I hit boost cut, which is why I have boost cut enabled. That, you know, I hear every now and then some guys say that, you know, they went elsewhere and their car blew up because they had no boost cut. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, boost cut's there for a reason. So I thought I hit boost cut. Thought we got, you know, I'm shooting for a percentage of the duty cycle for the electronic boost solenoid, and ultimately it should yield me certain PSI. Well, I have boost cut for safety. Thinking, okay, got a little bit closer to what I wanted. The next pull, I have it on video too. I'll insert it. No power at all. We barely made 102 horsepower, and then I shut it out, stopped, because I knew something was wrong. And then I got out and I checked this. So we got a blow off, we got a pipe that blew off, but more so too now on that turbo, the oil leak, and I think it's coming from a different spot as well. That leak is not ideal. So I know before I strapped the car on the dyno, we had a couple leaks underneath by the oil pan, but that's getting to a point where I don't want to keep pushing it. Turn my light on. You can see, so this is dry right here, and that's where it was leaking beforehand. And now it almost looks like it's leaking from another spot. So at this point, this is your first time here, welcome aboard. If it's not, then you already know what I'm probably going to say. Main concern, of course, is not only the safety of the engine, but everything around me as well. So, you know, I just got to stop. You know, we're making good power. Clutch is a little bit, We did contact him too, and he's got a stage 3 clutch masters, which I'm going to say this. Let me turn this camera around. When we set up a clutch for your setup, let's say it's boosted like this, or let's say you plan on going boost later on, we like to set up with a stage 4. I've always been a fan of the stage 4, which is usually, depending on the clutch, the clutch brand, usually it's usually it's a 6-puck sprung clutch. Now, every now and then people will say, well, isn't that rated too high for my setup? You got to understand the abuse that it can hold up. This clutch is going to be like one of the full face, I believe Competition Clutch calls it an Ironman disc. I've never had success with these. They always seem to wear out. They don't seem to hold the power. It's like they can't handle the heat. So, you know, at times, like I said, guys will say, isn't stage 4 overkill? We don't want the clutch to go out in a year or two. We want you to be able to beat on it. Now, of course, the more you beat on it, the quicker it's going to wear down. But, you know, I don't know if that's happening in this situation, but well, one thing piled on top of the other, it's just, there's no reason to keep pushing it. The car itself is, you know, basically telling, hey, stop, you know, let's not continue, might hurt something. And right now, like I said, we're making some good power, and going to contact the customer, see what he says. I don't know if I'm going to have an update at the end of this video, and I was planning on having more footage, so I may or may not have more clips. I got to see how much I have here, but there you go. So I decided I'm going to unstrap it, and I'm going to show you guys underneath what's leaking. Maybe we can find out if something else new is leaking. So I'm going to get it unstrapped. I'm going to put it up in the air, and then I will be back, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a small little rant too about something I saw online the other week. So, let me make sure my flash is on. Okay, there you go. Make sure my camera's clean. You can see you can see just how big it is. I mean, I could put my shoe for comparison. It's not a small leak. That's why, you know, I decided to stop the tune. If you just had a coupler blow off, not a huge deal, put it back on. But, you know, stuff like this, I just feel like, you know, I'm pushing it and something's bound to happen. Now, when I had it up beforehand, I did notice it looks like some sealant is on the pan. You can see it is covered down here in oil again. So, you know, it's hard to say what it is. You know, can the oil filter be leaking a little bit as well? He's going to have to ultimately clean this up, figure it out. I also noticed, and I smelled a little bit of a hint of it too. I smelled coolant on the dyno. So, I'm not too sure. But like I said, I'm doing a once over. I was having some weird disconnect issues too, more than I usually get with Ktuner, and I noticed that his ground, you know, what you have to remember when you're grounding stuff out is this is grounding to a painted piece, which is also grounding to another painted piece. So it's not a good ground. I made mention of that. I made mention that he should look into maybe his clutch pedal needing adjustment. You know, I'm not sure. So, you know, it's one thing after another. And I will say, you know, I'm on Facebook. I like to help people. I'm in certain groups, but, you know, it's becoming harder to help people because it's so many people think they understand everything, and then they try to argue with you. Also seeing a random ground smashed in between here. And there's so much misinformation. You know, guys need help and they're getting pointed in the wrong direction, and then when you respond, people try to argue, and then if they're, you know, I guess if they feel like they're backed in a corner or whatever, they start literally attacking you as a person, and it's like, it's not worth it. But I saw a guy, he needed help with VTEC. He said he was on the dyno, his tuner couldn't really give them answers. And everybody was so quick to bash the tuner. And you know what you have to remember, and I know this is, you know, most people that are watching this, you probably don't tune for a living, so you're on the other side. As a tuner, we're getting contracted to tune your car. You know, that's if you call a guy to paint your house and he sees a water leak in your basement, it's like if you were to get mad at him because he can't figure out where the leak is coming from. Like, we have so much stuff to focus on while tuning a car that, as I said it before, as you're exposed to all this other stuff, you're worried about oil leaks, you're worried about this and that. You know, this year, as I said, 2025, we have a dyno checklist. If I recall, when he dropped this car off, he said he finished it like the night before. You know, if you're tuning with me and you're on a tight schedule, just keep us updated. You don't lose your tuning spot or money. I'd rather have a car show up not leaking this amount of oil. You know, but that's like I said too. You got to look at it from a tuner side. I do everything in my power to make sure your car is good on the dyno. I can fix little stuff here and there, but you know, it is what it is. So hopefully you guys are hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. I'm not the type, I've known other tuners and I've heard stories where, you know, my car went on the dyno, they knew it had a problem, they did one pull and instantly pulled it off and took my money. I mean, you look at my reviews. I've been doing this now for 25 years. I've been successful not only because of the knowledge and the people I have working here on the technical side of stuff and, you know, labor jobs, but we're all really humble here. We all understand, you know, not everybody has $1 million to build a project, but at the same time, you can handle the very basic stuff. And you know, 2025, I just have to put my foot down. This guy also came in with injectors, no-name injectors. I just won't tune and put my name on stuff like that. Give me a second. So I wanted to go grab a dyno checklist that we have, and if you've been following me for some time, then you know about this, but if you're not, you're new here. We have a dyno checklist that we give to you. It's free. You can download it off the internet as well. If you go on YouTube, you type in RC AutoWorks dyno checklist, we have multiple videos where we talk about this checklist. I do everything in my power to make sure your car is good, and I can complete the tune. Some stuff, as you can see, is out of my power. You know, I know some people can, you know, be upset or whatever, but I'm not trying to be mean. I want the most success for your car. And as I was saying about the injector stuff, the easiest way to explain that too is if you're not familiar with injectors, dead times, the quality of certain injectors. As I try to give an example to something that maybe people can relate to, if you go to the doctor and you're getting surgery on your arm and he tells you to make sure it's clean, maybe he tells you to shave it, even though they usually shave stuff themselves, and you show up and your arm's filthy, covered in mud, you know, he's probably not going to do the surgery because it's his name. You know, I'm trying. You get what I'm trying to say? Or we can go back to the painter. Painter shows up and you tell him not to clean your walls; they're filthy. I'm trying to save money. Put paint on it. A good painter is probably going to tell you no because that's his work. Same stuff. I'm not trying to upsell injectors. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Have to have quality parts to make sure the tune is good, because that's the other thing. As you're on the dyno and problems come up, sometimes they do, then you have to play the guessing game. Well, is it because of this cheap part, that cheap part? It's just not worth it. It really isn't. So hopefully you enjoy. Little bonus content, stuff you don't see. Yes, we have to clean up the spills. We actually use some organic environmental stuff that works so much better than oil dry. Doesn't get dusty in here. It is expensive, but it's well worth it. And you get a couple times you can get use out of it if it's not a bad spill. So you can see how some of it's a little cleaner on the bottom. Hopefully you enjoyed this little bonus footage.